We're dealing this week, March 16th, 2025, with the energies of the sixth divine seed thought. Last month, we worked with the energy of the fifth divine seed thought. This month, we're working with the aspects of characteristics of the sixth ray, primary characteristics and really important characteristics, which are dealt with much more in depth in the Nature of the Soul series. This is the creative thinking series. Our task as humanity is to recognize that we are all souls. It's the consciousness of humanity that is being developed in this particular solar incarnation, the consciousness of humanity. And even though we've made many mistakes during the time, humanity as a collective has made many mistakes in their maturation period within the sixth ray for the last 2,500 years. These are things that we had to go through in order to strengthen the aspect of consciousness within humanity, since consciousness is that which is being developed in this particular solar incarnation. Our task is to remember, to recognize, to embody, to live from the standpoint that we are all souls connected, a brotherhood, a family of man and woman, of course, regardless of outer casings. And we'll break that down as we go along. When we were looking at the fifth ray of concrete knowledge and science last month, that particular ray deals with de-identification and re-identification. De-identification with the story that we've been told, conditioned to believe, and identification with ourselves, knowing that we are souls, okay, and each other, okay, humanity at large. In the fifth ray, which is concrete knowledge and science, as I said, of course, the aspect of scientific awareness and things, knowledge that is concrete, is extremely important. Meditation being one of them. Meditation is a science. It can take a lifetime to really get it, depending on how one is taught and one's habits in being able to work with it on a daily basis. So we begin to learn during the fifth ray. The fifth ray brings in knowledge, it brings in scientific awareness, it brings in fact. And many of these facts are aspects of things that spirituality has known, the wisdom has known, time immemorial. We have known that we are souls. We have known about reincarnation. We have known and proven within our own being, and through our own awareness, many of the now what is becoming scientific law that comes to really assert and establish that the wisdom has known all along. Okay? Many of the facts that we have known all along. We learn with the fifth ray about human consciousness. We learn about our purpose and its application in the three lower worlds. We learn about our duty as spiritual beings, growing, expanding, spiritual beings, to be able to turn around and help our brothers and sisters who may not know through classes that we teach, through service that we give, through our way of living that attracts others, through our soul that radiates and emanates and magnetizes others to it, whether it is known or not, whether they know it or not. And in doing this, turning back and saving, so to speak, okay, which was the seed thought for the last full moon that we just had. I leave the Father's home, and turning back, I save. That's what we, as spiritual beings, quote unquote, disciples, seeking for adeptship and mastery, that's what our responsibility is, to turn back and save. We become open to the new civilization and culture that is in the process of being birthed as we speak, with all new structures as the old is being dismantled and cleared away. So that's the aspect of what the fifth ray has kind of taught us, is teaching us. It's and is there for us to learn. It is always there. Okay. And as we know, or maybe you don't know, I don't know if I've mentioned this in the past, our soul has all the rays in it from 1 to 7. Five of which, or several of which, are more prominent than others. Okay? Our soul in itself has all the rays. The persona, though, may only have, or usually only, it has only 5 different rays that apply to it. Okay? And that's for another class, separate and apart from this one. So the seed thought for the sixth ray, or the divine seed energy for the sixth ray, is the Christ shall appear, and please hold yourself open to any kind of languaging that you may hear that you may or may not understand. Hold it open. I will seek to explain it as I've sought to explain it all along, every step of the way. The Christ shall appear when humanity recognizes the Christ principle indwelling in everyone. So as we move, which we're doing right now, from the sixth ray to the seventh ray, we stand at a crossroads. We stand at a point of evolutionary crises. Humanity, that is. The sixth ray, which brought in religion, philosophy, aspiration, devotion to an ideal, the awareness of divine love, as I said, devotion to an ideal or idealism, and as I said, also aspiration. These are some of the characteristics of the sixth ray in and of itself. Okay? Devotion, idealism, aspiration. There's the other one. Well, that is the lower form of aspiration, reaching for something, reaching for that ideal, reaching out and above, away from us, seeking something that transcends where we are. Humanity in and of itself is very devoted to causes, be they personal, group, national, religious, political, as a group. Our stance, and this will change with the incoming seventh ray, is to be devoted to a particular ideal cause. We as human beings have been very devoted to causes, be they personal, group, national, religious, political, you name it. We're coming out of that period of time now of religious devotionalism as a group. The seventh ray is forcing us to move beyond that. Science and spirituality, the unification almost of the two realms, the two departments of science and spirituality, because they are seeing that the wisdom has been correct in most cases all along. The term Christ was used in earlier, and we have to understand, and I've explained this to you before, we have to understand that when we talk about Christ, we're talking about an office. We're talking about not the man, okay, the Yeshua who walked planet Earth. We're talking about son of Mary, by the way, son of Mary and Joseph. We're not talking about that. We're talking about an office, Christedness. And we're talking also about the world savior. Every age has a world savior. The sixth ray's world savior was the Christ. The seventh ray world savior is also the Christ. Because what he taught, we have not learned. So When they talk about the reappearance of the Christ, it's a second go around in order to anchor and embody in humanity that which was taught initially without theology and dogma attached to it. In reference to the Christ as world savior, we always hear about the reappearance of the Christ. Christ is coming back. What does that mean? What it doesn't mean, let's say this, it does not mean that Christ is coming back as he was and in the persona of Yeshua. Okay? That is not what it means. There's a big difference between sixth ray and seventh ray. Sixth ray was about the growth of the persona, the individual, the separate ego, the I, me. Seventh ray, the self, by the way, the self. Seventh ray is about group. Remember, soul consciousness is group consciousness. It's not about the ego with a small e. Soul consciousness is group consciousness. Group consciousness is about brotherhood, unification, cooperation, realizing the power of the group and working from that place. So the reappearance of the Christ then, as we move now into the seventh ray period, the Aquarian age, means that the reappearance of the Christ, this Christ 2.0 period that we are expecting at some point in time, will be more so the externalization of the energy of Christedness within humanity itself. The group will be impressed with the energy of Christ. And that's why I wanted to do this other segue, okay? Which I'm doing because I just feel it needs to be there. It might seem a little bit long, meandering, but bear with me for a moment. As we know, there are 7 major ashrams. There's 7 rays. Each ray represents an ashram. Not in physical dance per se, but yes, in physical dance. There's no structure that is the first ray or 7th ray or 5th ray ashram. There's no structure. It's all within the inner levels, and yet it is happening within humanity itself, in humanity's in consciousness, especially with the group of world servers, light workers, those that know themselves to be working with the fifth kingdom, the kingdom of conscious souls, those guardians and masters who are organizers and protectors and overseers, so to speak, of planet Earth and all its kingdoms, not just for humanity's sake. Okay? So, 7 major ashrams. These ashrams are within the hierarchy itself. And these ashrams' purpose is the purpose of the planet itself, the purpose of the divine plan, working out through all 7 ashrams, each ashram having a particular master on the inner levels. And these are energies that can be connected with and are connected with through meditation, self-discipline, soul contact, and service, or sacrifice, as it's also known as. All 7 ashrams are part of the vast ashram of the Christ, who is the world's savior of both ages, Piscean age and the Aquarian age. As I said, each ashram is headed by a master. The Christ is also known as the head of the hierarchy itself. The hierarchy is known as the heart center of the planetary logos, or God, the being that inhabits the planet. Every planet has a being. Every planet has its own planetary logos, a consciousness, a being, an energy, an entity. That is the life of the planet itself. The heart center hierarchy, as I said, is known as the heart center. It represents the heart center of the planet, where the love of God is known. Here, or within the hierarchy rather, itself, the will of God is stepped down for the humanity that is awaiting it, to understand it. According to the levels that they occupy. If they're disciples, then they're seeking to understand it so that they can work with it in service for the greater good of humanity. If they're within the hierarchy itself, the kingdom of conscious souls, then they know that they have to pulse this plan out to those who can receive it so that it can be stepped down to humanity that needs to learn and is there to learn about it. Humanity is known as the planetary throat center, the creative arm of this planetary being in which we live, move, and have our being. Also known as the Logos, or God. The office of the Christ is seeking to externalize or reappear or incarnate through a group vehicle in this new age, rather than as he did in the last age, or as was done rather in the last age, when he actually incarnated into a human body. Of course, when we talk about the reappearance of the Christ, it could not be the same way, because sixth ray, seventh ray, two totally different things. Nothing ever that the divine does is redundant. God is creative, imaginative, planning ahead of time. Planning ahead of time for extended periods of time. So the sixth ray, as I said before, or the Aquarian age, is about a group consciousness, a group cooperation, a group leadership. Everywhere, it could never be the same because nothing is the same. Nothing is the same. The purpose of the Aquarian age is totally different than the purpose of the Piscean age. There are totally new levels or types of experiences that we're having that have, as everyone says, we are in uncharted territory. Nothing like this has ever been seen in a lifetime. So, and we chose to be here. I keep saying that from month to month, which means that we have purpose here. We, humanity, hold the power for the Aquarian age, hold the power for the planet, for the planet's development. We, humanity, are here to take full responsibility for the evolutionary crisis in which we find ourselves. That's why everything is obviously not only being dismantled because it's a six-ray, time is over. Exit stage left. But there are many, as we can see, who will still seek to maintain the throes and characteristics of that sixth ray age, domination over others, acquisition, power, competition, greed, ambition, desire, control, religious control, political control, control of our minds, control of our minds, the removal of books to expand consciousness, the removal of diversity, equity, and inclusion. the removal of things that are basic to the welfare of humanity, veterans, children, families, women. Yet all of it is here to get us riled up enough for us to say enough and realize that we can no longer look to leaders to guide us. We, the people, hold the power. We, the people, at this point of evolutionary crisis, are the deciders. We, the people, have to find that inner strength, come hell or high water, to say that we are not going to be made small. We are not going to allow small minds to control us. We are not going to be denied our human rights. We are not going to allow children to be injected with chips to become computer beings, as though our brains, which created the computers in the first place, aren't better than all of that. We are not going to be denied our divinity. And the seventh ray is about us moving into stronger levels of our divinity, understanding that we are souls, not just personas, merging with our soul, becoming soul infused. Seeing the forest through the trees. One of the characteristics, as I said, of the sixth ray, I know I keep moving to the seventh and the Aquarian age, but that's necessary in order to be able to contrast the two. So one of the characteristics of the sixth ray is devotion to an ideal. We naturally devote ourselves to ideals. We take up these, we hold consciousness, and it's the nature of consciousness is to hold an ideal. Hmm. To hold an ideal of something that is higher, stronger, mightier, more powerful, more complete and whole, more inspiring, strengthening, healing than the mundane world. It's that aspect of higher aspiration. Whatever ideal one is devoted to will be expressed and manifested in our experiences. It makes no difference the quality of the ideal. The ideal can be good, bad, beneficial, destructive. The ideal to which the consciousness is connected is always the cause behind any experience that's manifested. Example: a thief is devoted to money. That's his ideal. Ideal is to be able to acquire as much money or as he can. Okay? For whatever purpose. It could be to be important. A philanthropist also holds the ideal of money very, very high. The difference between the two is one seeks it for the separated self. Well, maybe both are seeking it for the separated self. One seeks it to acquire and to hold for itself. The other one seeks it to share. They may both want to be important in the world. They may both want to be important in their environment. So they both will seek money for importance or influence of some kind. Okay? The difference is that maybe the thief is a thief for a period of time. And because his evolutionary development is maybe higher than another thief, he will change the course of his life. He will redirect his life and put to bed the thieving and maybe utilize the energy for something much more powerful, of course, much more wholesome, much more collectively oriented and in service to humanity as a whole. So one's conditioning and evolutionary development determines the ideal, our ideals. Okay? So let's define ideal, the word ideal. An ideal is a thought form that conveys the idea of perfection according to the interpretation of the consciousness involved. Pure and simple. Very good definition. The ideal is a powerful influence upon the mental and emotional body. Or the mental or emotional aspect, mental and emotional aspect of the person who holds that ideal, whatever it may be. The ideal of humanity coming out of the sixth ray mindset is one of individual success. I mentioned this slightly before. Competition between humanity, competition with amongst ourselves, competition with other nations, competition socially, economically, politically, scientifically, religiously, to the point of greed. And it absolutely, that level of thinking, that thought form causes separation. It divides us. It's still about domination over another or others to the point of annihilation, which is what we are seeing now. And we have seen over the last age. As I said before, this is an evolutionary crisis that we are involved in right now. And An evolutionary crisis is a periodic interlude between past and present, wherein changes must happen, and humanity is responsible for those changes. In this particular interlude, and we are, as I said, we are in an evolutionary crisis right now, and in this in particular interlude, humanity at large is being given again the opportunity to choose the path its growth will take. It's a moment of decision between the end of one phase and the beginning of another phase. How poignant is that? We have grown as a collective in many, many, many ways over the last age. We've grown mentally. Well, let's put it this way. We're growing mentally. We have grown mentally. Yes, definitely. We've grown emotionally. The physical body has got to a point of perfection based on the last solar incarnation, where the focus of development was the physical body. Many are trying to still hold on to that thought form in a big way, thus the need to be buff, the need for BBLs. Oh my God. I mean, trying to plastic surgery of all sorts, innovations that are coming up every day for maintaining youth. Among them is putting chips in babies and human beings so that we remain immortal. Hmm. And within that particular thought form is that computers are better than humans because computer technology, and the computer mind will be less emotional. Because compassion and sensitivity and caring for others is a sign of weakness, according to the oligarchs. Listen to Greg Braden and his new book, but he's written all about it, and he just did a major talk on it, and he is warning us loud and clear: do not fall for the yogi. Do not buy into this idea of becoming an integrated part of computer systems. It's all about control, folks. They are seeking to deny the ability for us to at one with our divinity. The pineal, the pituitary, those major centers that connect us with the divine will atrophy. We will not be the same. So the human being, we as human beings have grown mentally, grown emotionally, grown physically. The one area that we still have to grow is spiritually. And that's the area that this other energy is trying to encroach upon, because they don't want us to gain our spirituality, because our spirituality gives us freedom. We are no longer controlled by by mundane things. We're no longer at the pull and tug of mundane issues. They can no longer separate us. You see? So this evolutionary crisis that we're in crisis that we're in is we're confronted with two major forces: the forces of light, let's call it the oversoul of humanity, seeking its spiritual growth, which is happening right now. It's part of this thundering that we're vibration, this seeming chaotic chaotic energies that we're experiencing right now, where the soul of humanity is settling in to the consciousness of humanity at large, all of us. It's a level of initiation, group initiation, that we're going through. So, forces of light. The second one is the forces of darkness or materialism, which is focused on the separated self. Its goal is to maintain everything for the separated self. And we see that happening everywhere, right? Doge, stealing money for their own purposes, taking away veterans' rights and finances, you name it, education, denying people the ability to be to be educated, removing diversity, equity, and inclusion, books, knowledge. They want a workforce. That's all they want. A robotic workforce that cannot think, will not think, will do exactly what they're programmed to do. Oh boy. And keep us from our spirituality, which is right within this age that we are now in, this Aquarian age, stronger than ever before. Our choices in this evolutionary crisis will determine the trajectory of our world, our connection to the divine, our ability to know freedom and our own inner power. If we cave to these forces of materialism, or what I call the dark forces, and we don't take up the mantle of the power that we actually truly have, which they're hoping we don't find out and utilize, like in Serbia, where 350,000 people have been in protest for long periods of time now. They're saying, hell, they're saying no, absolutely not. This cannot happen. This will not happen. And guys, we have to realize we cannot hold our physical bodies so, we cannot be in fear. These are revolutionary times. Revolutionary times mean you fight. If a struggle has to be and you're available to be there, then you take up the mantle, come what may. This, we have to realize, going into the seventh ray means that first ray is also a part of it. And first ray begins and ends cycles. First ray is about a purpose that is so strong that nothing stands in its way. First ray can be destructive. Life and limb matters not to first ray. It's a part of it. It begins and ends cycles. It births things and clears it away. Death. This is a time, especially in these United States, where those of us who have been couch potatoes for such a long period of time, viewing one screen after another, and avoiding many times, quite often, what true life is really about, looking at it vicariously rather than finding it experientially, living it experientially. So, those dark forces, they know this, and they're not attached. They're only attached to what it is they want. They're not attached. And as a result, we have to be that kind of warrior to be willing to take the warrior stance, to be committed, to be strategic, to be organized, to be efficient, to understand what it is that's necessary in order to triumph. Not win, triumph. So if we cave and don't take up the mantle, what we're setting in motion is a recurring history of the Atlantean moment. What happened in Atlantis when things got so out of hand. An ugly power was utilized for ugly things. And the hierarchy decided we have to dismantle this place. And they sunk Atlantis. This is that struggle 2.0 back again for us to deal with. This is the time when the reappearance of the Christ is so important. Through, via the group, the externalization of the hierarchy into the group. Not one person. There is no one person who is going to lead us. It has to be the power of the people. So we will have orchestrated another cycle that took down Atlantis if we don't seize the opportunity available to us and rise above this mundane world that we are living in right now that is seeking to suffocate and asphyxiate humanity at large. We have seen what's important. We have seen what they're trying to make important. It's a power grab, land grab, money grab, a fight for the mind of humanity grab, purpose being to maintain and power for a few and to keep everyone bound and shackled. It is a quest for no growth within humanity, unless it's just simply for themselves. So the choice is ours. And this is new for us because we've been conditioned to believe in someone leading us. We've always lived a life in our lifetime where we looked to someone to orchestrate the group. This time, the groundswell must come from all of us, the people. And as we watch the dismantling of our government, as we've known, the dismantling of our rights, as we've known, the dismantling of our liberty, we feel anger, we feel shock. Many of us now are jobless. It is given that nothing to say that our government was not a little too heavy and fat in probably many places. And it is part of the clean sweep that's needed. Very well may be needed in some aspects, many aspects, but not to the extent of a keystroke to delete the ways and means of people to feed their family, to live, to have a home, you name it. So it's not about right, wrong. It's about the needs of humanity going forward. And the characteristic of the age that we are now in requires that humanity realizes its oneness of all people, respect of all people, appreciation of all cultures and people. not a prioritizing any longer of one over another, but acceptance of the mistakes and the traumas that have been caused by the decisions made in the last age. And I could be more specific, but I won't right now. You know what I'm talking about, I believe. The choice is ours to make, and it will have ongoing repercussions for lifetimes. Whatever choice we make. If we sit back and remain couch potatoes and think that someone's going to come save us, as I said, the choice is ours to make. It will have ongoing repercussions for lifetimes if we don't get this Atlantis 2.0 right this time around. We need to realize that these are old forms trying to hold on to power. Selfishness was needed at a time. There was a time that selfishness was needed in this Piscean age that we are just leaving. It was needed for a while to strengthen self-consciousness, to strengthen the persona of humanity. It was an evolutionary aspect of development, a step. But that focus has been reached. The persona now is strong. The mentality of humanity is strong. The emotional body of humanity, very strong. We can now let ambition, desire, selfishness go. The idea of the individual. Yes, we can be different. We are who we are, each and every one of us. Authenticity is an absolute of absolute necessity. It's important for us to recognize who we are. Be that. But realize that the persona is the vehicle of the soul in truth. And through that persona, three things happen. Through the soul's connection to its vehicle, the persona, three things happen. One, the overshadowing soul comes in contact with the three lower frequencies, the etheric physical, the astral emotional, and the mental. And through that, it experiences things, okay? And it learns the characteristics of those three frequencies and the nature of them. And it learns also to master them, to dominate them in order to maintain its control over its vehicle, the persona. And as it learns to master these three frequencies, the separated self is refined, the ego is refined. And it lifts the higher vibrational into higher vibrational fields our substance, our inner being, those aspects of those three lower frequencies. It lifts it into a higher vibration through discipline, through transmutation techniques. And by lifting it to its higher vibration, the planetary logos evolves. grows, develops. The entire planet grows and all of its kingdoms. So the soul evolves as a result of the persona. And as the persona becomes more refined, it becomes at some point in time soul infused. And the vehicle through which the soul connects with life and becomes masterful over that, or mastery in itself can take place. Okay? Every day that we live, we are given the opportunity to choose between spirituality or spiritual growth and personal gain. How many of us, prior to the pandemic was the pause button, where we realized that that those of us who have chosen personal gain were not happy, were stressed out, didn't know who we were and what kind of relationships we were in. It took that pause button for us to learn to disassociate ourselves with the lie that we were telling ourselves. And many of us got off that train and decided they don't want to be on it anymore. I mean, it was enough. They wanted to change their life and did. It's been decided that the persona has been developed as far as it will go, as much as it can go, as a separated ego. It now has the full potential to be of use to the soul, its true purpose. The soul's job is to merge with the persona. And it must bring into control or under control that part of itself within the persona that is identified with the ego, the indwelling consciousness. So the soul has learned all it needs to know in terms of likes and dislikes, desire and ambitions. So the will desire aspect is being withdrawn now, no longer needed. We've already developed it. We've used the separated self to its max. We don't need it anymore. The consciousness of the soul or the persona is strong. So persona and soul are destined to be one over time in some incarnation. But that battle, that how do you say it? That wrestling between the personal self and the soul, that bounce, that opposition between the two which is the life of the disciple while they're working to discipline themselves, control, overcome ego, pride, and arrogance, and greed, and, all the things that make us small, keep us small, fear, all of these things which are really based in fear. There's an ongoing battle between the two for control of the indwelling consciousness. So the sixth ray, the Piscean sixth ray way, no longer is applicable in our world. Rather, the way forward is true brotherhood, goodwill, love, service, awareness that we are souls. We lift each other up. We don't take each other down. We support. We communicate. We're authentic. We're honest. We transmute. We grow. We learn to stand steady in the inner light in our meditations. We move from emotionalism to an understanding of the divine plan for our entire world, not just for humanity, because humanity is only one kingdom. Of which, as I've said before, there's 7 kingdoms, 2 of which are still withdrawn. They're not online yet. Coming in the future. We are learning to exchange now ideals of the soul, or exchange ideals of the persona for ideals of the soul. And these ideals of the soul are already impressed within our being. They're already encoded within us. We don't have to create them. We don't have to, all we have to do is focus within and listen as the soul sends to the persona its blueprint, its monadic blueprint, in truth. Yeshua, or Jesus, demonstrated for humanity the way to become, in reality or in time-space, the ideal of the Christ. He demonstrated the way to develop, the way to grow, the way to walk in this world through truth, through wisdom, through love. And call those Christ principles in a way. That we hold within us the Christ principle, not just for some, but for all of us. All people hold within them the Christ principle. Every last one of us, transgendered, queer, Mexican, black, white. We hold each and every one of us the prize, the gift of the Christ principle within us. So why are we seeking to dominate and control and kill and divide and make others feel less than. Women, no one is less or more. We are all exactly the same. Now, I hope that is understood. I hope this is heard. And maybe listen to over and over again because there's a lot in it. Now, let us do a meditation. That means that you prepare for meditation. And the name of this meditation is called Recognizing the Christ Energy. Ideally, teaching us to recognize the Christ principle indwelling in each one of us. And as always, when we're seeking to learn new things, we start with ourselves. Take a deep breath and release it, relaxing the physical body. Take another deep breath, moving into the emotional body and becoming calm and serene. Take a third deep breath. Focus within the mental body and move your awareness back into the tiny golden sun in the center of the head, about 2 inches behind the eyes. And there, within that tiny golden sun, integrate the threefold soul, that part of your soul that is animal, basic, instinctual, that part of your soul that is human, that part of your soul that is spiritual. Integrate this threefold soul into a single unit, recognizing that unit or soul as the Christ in you. the hope of glory. As the soul in the center of the head, now align upward with the overshadowing soul. And align outward via your ajna center, 3 to 6 inches beyond the forehead, and recognize the Christ principle indwelling every human being. Looking through that ajna center, outward to humanity, your environment, those in your orbit. Recognize the Christ principle indwelling every human being. Take some time to do this now. That inner light, hidden within every human being. No matter their station, maintain this alignment and this recognition as you go about your life and affairs, renewing it whenever you become aware that you are no longer holding it. Take a deep breath, and as you release it, relax the attention and return to normal focus. I thank you all for your time. Until next month, for the Institute for Global Transformation, this is Lirita with self-mastery training via Ageless Wisdom Teachings.